don't assume that because you're fucking, because you're Mr. Hot Shit in the Square Bay that you're any better than the dudes 50 years ago, 60 years ago, 100 years ago, because you're not really.
I built this thing from the bottom, they tore it down, I rebuilt it. I give myself a task, you can bet your ass I fulfill it. Yeah, man, I'm talking about Willis, one of the realest.
Are you aware that you're famous on the internet again?
No, I'm not famous. If I was famous, I could afford a new water pump for the Dodge.
Is that what you'd get? A water pump?
I'd get a water pump for Dodge, and then maybe have the transmission leak fixed.
I had a new transmission put in my Dodge, and it doesn't seem to transmate. Like it does weird things.
It's because it's a Dodge. They are terrible.
When I put the 30-foot trailer on,
mm-hmm.
and then I put it in gear, I have to rev it way up to get it to go. I'm like, wait a minute, the brake's still on. Nope, brake's not on. Once you're going, it's okay. But it doesn't want to start going.
Put it in one. Use one to get you out moving, and then put it in drive.
But I never had to do that before.
I know. It's just the Dodge.
It's the new Dodge transmission thing.
Dodges are terrible. You probably don't have any fluid in it. That's why.
It didn't come with fluid. You remember when we got the auger?
Yeah, didn't come with fluid.
Or you'll be super surprised. Like, I tell guys this all the time when they're talking generators. I'm like, hey, pull your generator out of the box, put fuel in it. I know this is going to sound crazy. Make sure it works. Also, check the oil. Because we got one, when we pulled it out of the box, thank God it said there is no oil in this. And it also didn't give you any fucking oil, right? So you just, in an emergency, just wouldn't have any oil in your thing. And that happened when we got the auger. We bought the auger, and thank God it had a fucking plastic tag next to the fill hole that said fill with auger fluid, whatever it was, right? But it didn't come with it. They didn't bother to give you the bottle to fill it or anything, and I didn't know. I'd never had an auger. So,
internet famous.
Yeah, you're internet famous. Me too, but it's mostly on Facebook. Now when you post anything on Instagram, it auto posts to Facebook.
Yeah.
So when you go to Instagram, it shows 5,000 comments, and you're like, well, I only see 20 here. Well, the other 4,900 are from Facebook. So now you've got to click it, which takes you to Facebook. So they make you use it. And there's a large discrepancy over whether you can shoot 800 yards with a M16A2.
Well, that wasn't the question, though.
Correct. Were the sights...
The question was, does the sight have the capability to shoot to go to 800 yards? And if any of you knuckleheads from the 80s will remember... The sight on the M16 was 8.3. 8.3. So you would, when you were going to zero your rifle, you go 8.3 minus 2. That 8 on the top means 800 yards. The number underneath means 300 yards. So, again, the sight had the capability. Now, the Marine Corps qualifies out to 500 or used to. I mean, I'm sure they still do 500-yard line because all the ranges are set up that way. But the Marine Corps qualified to 500 yards with the M16A2. I mean, the reality is they were doing it with M1 Garands too. But 500-yard line is the farthest we qualify with the service rifle. The Army does 450 meters. Now, I don't think the Army's weird in the sense of all service members don't have kind of like the same qualification. So if you're an 11 Bravo, you qualified to 450 meters. If you're like a typist specialist, it's why sometimes you can see these Army videos where like they're out shooting on the range and it's not boot camp and some crazy shit happens, like the sights are on backwards, or because there's units that just really don't ever shoot their rifles.
But they don't have an armor?
Yeah, they have armor, but again, if you don't ever, it's one of those things that if don't ever do it.
By this time in history, why do they even make sights that can go on backwards at this point? I mean, we've seen it enough times now.
It's just the way it is. So, they'll do ranges where they do reduced targets. So, like when you see somebody on the internets, some pogue on the internet, he's like, I qualified at 50 yards.
We did some of the comments.
But what you're gonna if they were
Does that mean the target should be much smaller?
Yeah, if they were honest, the Army has a reduced target system so that the targets are a lot smaller. Again, though, it's only 50 yards. So all that really is when the Army's doing, or let's just say the Department of Defense. When the Department of Defense is doing that, right? When they're letting guys qualify at 50 yards or whatever, it's just really a fanfare. They're really trying to get that soldier who is actually either a cook or, a fucking welder. They're just giving him enough confidence to be able to properly use that rifle in a functional manner in case, right? In case. Normally, with the U.S. military, we're...
Do you think...
For a long time, we're very protective of those individuals, meaning we usually don't put them in harm's way. But
yeah, they're still protective of the trannies now.
Well, we usually don't put them in harm's way, and so they don't really need to use those weapons, but
aren't there some really good movies based on those dudes?
Oh, yeah.
Like the typewriter guys and shit?
Yeah.
And the combat photographers.
If you think about any...
Wasn't Saving Private Ryan supposed to be...
If you think about any combat movie that you've seen, any really well-produced combat movie that you've seen in a long time, it's always the guy who wasn't supposed to be there, the guy who doesn't have the training that survives. Everybody else dies.
Well, what was it?
Fury. Fury's the same way.
It wasn't Seabiscuit, but what was the horse one?
Oh, Warhorse.
Warhorse.
Yeah. Fury was the same way. Fucking Saving Private Ryan, same way. Sledge. If you think about Sledge, he was an infantry marine that became a writer.
What was Sledge? I don't remember that one.
Any of the Pacific War campaigns, he wrote all the books about the Pacific.
What's the old man? He's just out on he's out on a gold claim, and the Nazis come.
Oh, that's
there was very little words in there.
Yeah, that's
man, that was a fucking
Sussex?
good. Yeah, that was that was a good movie.
There's a part 2 to it already.
Is there?
Yeah.
Oh man,
there's a part 2 to it. It was all right. It was just.
Yeah,
but
I hadn't seen a movie in forever. That's probably one of the last ones I actually watched.
I think the reason why we like it is because it's the classic 1980s. It's a modern spin on the classic 1980s. Lone wolf kills all bad guys.
All the Nazis.
Yeah, all the Nazis
took over the tank. And...
Yeah. So yeah, I think that's why we like it.
Okay.
So, anyways,
so do you believe the guys on there that are like, no, I qualified at 50? Do you think they knew they were on a modified range, or do you think they're just?
Yeah, they know they're on a modified range.
So they're being disingenuous.
They're being disingenuous. It's the same crew. They belong to
so dumb they didn't understand the comment.
They belong to the same group of people that are like, you only need 6 magazines. Of course, because you're a cook. You were not 11 Bravo. If you were an 11 Bravo, even in the trauma years of Vietnam, even if you still qualified out to distance, because you have to be successful with those weapon systems. So
I saw somebody post something that said 22 mags, and I'm like, this is complete bullshit. A combat loadout is only 6 mags, and I don't think they knew that I was joking about it.
Yeah.
And then I'd sent a video to Bear. I think I sent it to you and you also. There's a lady, and she's like tied up, and somebody's just beating her, and it's some Sharia law shit, right? They're whipping her and whipping her and whipping her. And Bear goes, I have a really cool belt from a dude in Camden, Tennessee, and it has 14 mag pouches, and I have 1,440 rounds in the mag. I go, that's just silly talk. Everybody knows combat loadout's only 6 mags. And he said something. I go, did you just say that with a lisp? Did you just text me with a lisp? He's like, super special.
Yeah. So, again, I say this all the time. Everyone's, it's that, what is it? Everyone's experiences may vary. Your experience may vary. Yes. If you were a fucking, bulk fuel specialist, you probably only had 6 magazines and you probably qualified on a reduced target range. But that, when I talk about, don't get me wrong, support wins the fight. Like
logistics wins the war.
We win the wars because of we win the wars of support, or we win the wars because of support. We were successful Whether you think we won or we lost, we were successful in both Iraq and Afghanistan because of the support structure put in place. A lot of
Apparently, we're about to find out again.
a lot of Reserve and National Guard in the beginning of the war did some very, very dangerous shit in trucks that were built in the 50s in order to support the infantry that was forward deployed. So I'm not taking anything away from those guys, but the reality is I'm not talking about bulk fuel when I talk about how you qualify or how you close with and destroy the enemy by fire and maneuver.
Is bulk fuel's patch really say pump gas, kick ass, or
No,
some
I don't
shit
think
like
so.
that? No,
I don't think so, but it should.
That'd be fucking cool.
It should. By the way, bulk fuel, anytime somebody asks me what I did in the military, I do say bulk fuel, pump gas, and kick ass, because you guys kick ass. So, again, that an M1 Abrams doesn't operate without a fucking bulk fuel guy that's driving right behind him.
Doesn't every M1 Abrams have their own bulk fuel, like fucking
Yeah,
tanker
they have their own.
truck?
I mean, they only go 1 mile.
Okay, what an Abrams is it a platoon? An Abrams platoon?
I don't know how they run those.
How many
sections
are there when they deploy?
again,
Is it four? 4 tanks?
It's different for the Army. The Marine Corps, when the Marine Corps was deploying Abrams, we were deploying them in 4 tanks, right? We had 4 tanks, and those could be broken down into 2 tanks.
And there's like 200 guys behind those dudes to support those 4 tanks. There's like 28 vehicles or some shit.
Because it just depends. Because the Army understands the idea of modern armor warfare. Yes, there's 200 guys behind those tanks, but in the Marine Corps there's like 6 Lance Corporals. There's like 6 Lance Corporals that are doing everything.
I saw a comment the other day where we were talking about how many tanks are in cold storage, right? And somebody said that the amount of tanks we have in reserve, we have enough tanks to put a tank in every 200 square miles of the United States. I think that's what I thought. I thought it was every 2 miles, but it can't be that many. I think it was every 200 miles. There is one tank in the United States that we could put a tank in every 200 miles of the United States.
We have built now. Since the end of World War II to current day, we have built enough tanks. We've built enough tanks and armored personnel carriers that everybody in the United States could have their own armored personnel carrier tank in their front yard. So, I mean, again, we are a military industrial complex like no other in the world. So,
speaking of modified range, Mom worked at General Dynamics, and she's like, "Come on, we're gonna go, and I'm taking you to the shooting range." And I'm like, "Oh, there's a shooting range, in Kearney Mesa." And we go in. There's a gym. They've got a pretty, looking back on it, it's a pretty impressive weight gym at General Dynamics. And you go down this hallway and there's this room, and you go in and it's the shooting range, and it's air rifles. And they've got the crazy Ann Schultz air rifles, and you're shooting, and they have these little tiny paper targets, but dudes are shooting aspirin tabs from across the room. And I'm like, this fucking pellet is bigger than the fucking aspirin tab that they were shooting. I didn't ever hit the pellet because they didn't give me the special jacket.
Right,
so
you didn't have
I didn't get the jacket.
Well, I mean, again, if you just look back, you don't have to look back too far. But if you go back to the 20s and the 30s,
guys shooting match
there were trick shooters. Remington and all them had trick shooters who were doing that with that technology.
Yeah, if you look at Unintended Consequences, James bought 120 of those books and put them in the library. And there's none left. Probably because people stole them. They kept them.
Oh, yeah.
And they were autographed by the author. If you go try to find a Unintended Consequence book, I believe they're like $1,000 now. And there was a dude during COVID that started reading it and putting it on audio, basically, on YouTube. And he did a good job narrating it, but he only got to chapter 79 or something. But in the beginning of that whole book, the whole opening of the book is about the trick shooters and the guys shooting matchsticks and splitting cards in the air with revolvers and shit.
Yeah, they used to do. If you have an opportunity, or if you want to go down a rabbit hole, I believe it has to be like 1949 or 1950 maybe, but it's L.A. Sheriff's Department. So the L.A. Sheriff's Department, when they built the new range. When the sheriff had the new range built, there's these 4 police officers that are doing trick shooting at a level, like at the carnival level that you can't believe. Like a guy takes a Thompson machine gun and writes the sheriff's name. The guys go downrange and dudes are shooting cigars out of their mouths and shit. Just crazy type of trick shooting that, you know, nobody really does anymore. Like, we don't really do trick shooting anymore. You know,
because we've whipped it out of children.
It's all USP. You know, it's all. You know, I am sure that, you know, there are guys out there that can do all that stuff, but we kind of just don't do it anymore. It
goes against all the gun safety rules.
Yeah, it does definitely go against the gun safety rules. It's all more tactical. I even think the guys were downrange.
Of course they were downrange.
No, but I even think the guys were downrange when the dude was like.
They used to
going nuts with the machine gun.
They used to bring, when body armor came out, they'd bring it out and put it on it and shoot a dude in it. Of course. That's back when they were shooting revolvers one-handed too.
Yeah. So again, I do believe that the cigar shooter is one-handed. So yeah, your capability. We tend to think that because we're in the modern age that somehow we are better than we were 100 years or 50 years ago or 100 years ago. We might have some techniques. We might have some techniques that are a little better and some ideas that might be a little more refined, but we're not better. Like, we're not better. Classic example is the Glock. You can watch 10,000 videos. You can watch 10,000 videos of how to shoot a Glock, right? And it's always about hand placement. Well, the reason why we're doing all this shenanigans with hand placements is because the grip angle on the Glock was designed wrong. You're not point shooting with it. You're having to manipulate your wrist in order to do a proper grip on it. You can train someone to shoot wrong and them be good at shooting wrong. So a classic example is like the gangster side shooting.
Why do they do that?
Because they don't know any better. But again, even the gangster side shooting, if you were to take somebody out to the range and put 10,000 rounds of gangster side shooting, he's going to get good at doing the thing that is terrible. He's going to get good at doing the thing that is terrible. So don't assume that because you're fucking, because you're Mr. Hot Shit in the Square Bay that you're any better than the dudes 50 years ago, 60 years ago, 100 years ago, because you're not really. You have some technological advantages. So we have some technological advantages that make it a little bit easier. But the reality is, long-range shooting in the Civil War was 1,000 yards. We're still doing that today.
And what were they shooting it with?
They were fucking shooting paper patch ball, bro. So, again, and we still do that today. So we're not...
During the Civil War, was it one shot reload, one shot, or did they have anything that repeated?
There were certain people, there were certain small, very small, repeatable arms at that time period, but it wasn't at the level that would make a difference. They weren't at a level that would make a difference. Everybody was still using muzzleloaders. The thing that made a difference during the Civil War that people weren't ready for, or that the generals weren't ready for, and it's the reason why the first battles were very terrible and all the consecutive battles were even worse, was rifling. What changed between the Revolutionary War and the Civil War was our weapon systems all went rifled.
Is that the maxi ball? Is that when the maxi ball came out?
Yeah, that's when they started using that. But basically, because we were able to put rifling in cannons and rifling into rifles, the generals still thought you had to do, because again, if you're using a smooth bore, 50 yards is a far shot. So the generals still thought boop, 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 and so they all got really close, and then dudes started shooting rifles that could actually travel the distance, stabilized and accurately, and it just fucking annihilated people. That's kind of like even when I went to the Civil War reenactment thing down here, they have in New Johnsonville. there's a guy there that dresses up like Ulysses S. Grant, and he has a cannon. And there were things about that cannon, that authentic Civil War cannon, that I was totally ignorant to. Like, I thought they were still fucking
muzzle loading.
I thought they were. Well, it's still muzzle loader. It was still a muzzle loader, but I thought they were fucking, still using lighters and fucking cannon fuse, and they were putting round ball in there. And by the time we get to the Civil War, these cannons are rifled, and so they can shoot. Like he was telling, he's like, I can shoot this cannon through a barn door at 10 miles. This cannon right here, I'm like, this cannon that you fucking own and can shoot every day. And then they had, he had all the different types of ammunition that they had available for him back then, the high explosives, the grape shot, all kinds of different stuff. It's very interesting. And they don't even use, I can't remember what it's called. I'm sorry, guys. I don't pay attention to the Civil War that often. But they don't use fire and a fuse. It's a mechanical device that goes inside the fuse hole, and you just pull it, and it works kind of like a match. I think they may even, and I'm sure I'm going to get this wrong, I think they even might call it a match, but you put that in there and you just pull it.
I think it changes from a cannon to like artillery or something.
Yeah,
the legality is if you load it from the front of the barrel versus the back opening up.
You can't have it becomes a destructive device if it has a breach. So you can have like for example, we can have a Sherman tank with the gun in the Sherman tank.
With the barrel.
With the full gun. We just can't have the breach. We can't have the breech block. So the breech block, when you see guys that have those guns that are live, it's the breech block is the thing that the ATF you have to fill all the paperwork out and shit.
How does a person on foot disable a tank if there's a tank coming at them?
How do you disable a tank?
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's a couple of things that you have to think about. Is a disabled tank is still in the fight. So you have to, in order for a tank to no longer be a threat, you have to destroy the capability of that tank to fight. So that's the barrel, and that's the many machine guns that they put on tanks. To disable a tank, disabling a tank and making it, a non-threat are two different things. Disable a tank, all you have to do is pop a track.
How would you do that?
You can, just like the movie, you can fucking put C4 on a road wheel and let that fucking C4...
So you physically have to run up to it.
Yeah, you physically have to...
That's a satchel charge?
Or, something similar to that. Now,
when I was a child,
mm-hmm.
every Sunday we would have potluck at Grandma's house. And somehow every Sunday there was World War II movies, TV shows on.
Uh-huh.
And my cousins and uncle liked to watch that. I never paid attention. I knew they were doing it, but I never paid attention to how it was happening.
Yeah. So again, that's if you don't have other weapon systems to do it. Like now, you just need a drone and then you can kill a fucking tank.
You can't just go up with a big stick and put it in there and it just derails the track.
No,
metal pipe.
No, not a matter. No. Barbed wire.
Barbed wire legitimately will
they don't. Tankers will not.
Tanks, not new
tankers
ones.
do not want to fucking drive through barbed wire because once it gets in there, you do have the ability of throwing a track and shit because it just balls up inside there. So they don't want to run over barbed wire.
Yeah, that happens on a wood chipper too.
Yeah, they don't want to. It happens in a brush hog too.
Mm-hmm. I just rent brush hogs. So I just turn them in.
You turn them in with the wire?
Here's your brush hog. I don't know why it's not working.
Yeah. So again, I don't know what we're talking about.
I try not to brush hog over my fucking barbed wire fences. Sometimes though, the grass does get tall and you're not sure where the fence is. I was just curious.
Yeah. So I don't know. Your experience, your military experience may vary. So
would that be considered guerrilla warfare?
Running up to a tank and
yeah.
Not
really. What's the definition of guerrilla warfare?
So, I don't know what the definition of guerrilla warfare is, but guerrilla warfare is always initiated on a when the forces are superior to your capability, and it's just basically what you want to do in guerrilla warfare is you want to hit and run tactics, and you want to go after the weak, the weakest link, right? So that's why most like when you think about the French resistance and any groups like that, they're really operating in the rear area, the rear support areas, and doing as much damage in the rear support areas. Guerrilla fighters, well, I'll give you a good example. Guerrilla fighters are not really going toe-to-toe with the main military because they will get wiped out. And a good example of that is Vietnam. So when Vietnam started, the Viet Cong were the predominantly fighting force within Vietnam. They were a guerrilla force that operated within the confines of Vietnam. When North Vietnam got involved and started sending troops south, the problem for the North Vietnamese was the Viet Cong. Because the Viet Cong really didn't want to be communist. They really just wanted to be their own country. Like, known fact, Ho Chi Minh came to the United States prior to any of the Vietnam War and was like, "Hey, help us get away from the French, make us our own country." And we didn't have the taste for war anymore, and we're like, "Yeah, well, you got to deal with the French."
So Vietnam was the French's fault?
Yeah, Vietnam was definitely the French's fault.
There they are again. Always start some shit, not finishing it.
It was a French colony. Well, the issue was it was a French colony before World War II, and part of the agreement at the end of World War II was everybody was like, all colonies go back to the original owners.
You see what happens when that happens.
Yeah, so Vietnam fell under the French, under French rule. The best pastries, by the way, are in Vietnam, guys. The
what?
Yeah, the best pastries. You should fly to Vietnam just so you can.
French pastries.
French pastries, yeah.
The best pastries are in Cardiff.
No, it's in Vietnam for sure.
There's a French bakery in San Diego.
No, those Vietnamese kept the best part of France. But again, so that you had this guerrilla force that while the North Vietnamese was supporting that guerrilla force, the North Vietnam had a different idea of how this thing was going to end. And so what they did is during the Tet Offensive is they forced all those guerrilla units into no-win engagements. So they pushed them all into fighting directly against the U.S. military. So
that they could kill them.
And so what a lot of people don't understand is after the Tet Offensive, the guerrilla forces within Vietnam were non-existent. It was all North Vietnamese regular troops that were fighting post-Tet Offensive. And that was on purpose. It was on purpose so they could control the outcome of that war. So they would, the last thing you want to do is be supporting the South in unification, and the South wants something other than you want at the end of the war, and now you got to fight those guerrillas too again. So that was the whole point, was eradicating them. It's kind of
was there guerrilla warfare
what Zelensky did in Ukraine.
Was there guerrilla warfare in the Confederate War?
Yeah, there were guerrilla units in the Confederate War. The South had them, and we had them too. There were units that were basically.
I guess we're supposed to call it the Civil War.
What, the Civil War?
Yeah, it's not the Confederate War.
Yeah, I guess not Confederate War. Depends on. Well, we were in the South.
Yeah.
Yeah, both sides had. There were units that were.
I mean, we did win.
It was a little casual. There were places that weren't. Like, when you think about the Civil War and you think about Gettysburg and Sherman's March, there were a lot of states that were kind of outside of the actual real combat, like Texas and places like that. And so you had groups of individuals that would form up and be kind of like were Confederate or were Union, and they would go fight. A lot of that happened in Kansas.
Was there a man they called the Gray Ghost? Was that the?
That's here.
That's Civil War.
Yeah, that's here. Civil War. It was
Was Swamp Fox? Was that Swamp Fox or Swamp Fox was
different guy? Different guy. Yeah.
Swamp Fox was War of Independence.
Different guy. So, but yeah, they did guerrilla warfare.
The Disney Channel had a fucking show on both those. They had a TV series on those guys.
Yeah, they there was guerrilla warfare that happened but it wasn't. How do you say it? It didn't affect the outcome of the war whatsoever, because.
Can you paint a picture where guerrilla warfare might happen within the United States? What would cause that to happen? What would have to happen to have guerrilla warfare in the United States?
Well, the reality is if a regime took over total power within the United States and attempted to subvert the Constitution, I think we would have a guerrilla. Any type of warfare where citizens are going against the government. That's the only way they can do that is guerrilla warfare.
Do you think that all these ICE attacks on the ICE facilities, do you think they view themselves as guerrilla fighters?
No, they don't view themselves as guerrilla fighters. Not at all.
Do you know there was a fucking shooting this morning at around 10 o'clock in Texas on an ICE facility? A sniper supposedly took some shots. Nobody was shot that they were trying to shoot. And then they found the shooter self-inflicted gun wound.
I didn't see any.
Have you seen the ICE protests? And it's all fat white chicks and
yeah, it's Karens. It's always Karens
and effeminate men. But did you see this chick trying to fucking block the car, and the dudes came out and they just fucking. She kept getting in there and they body slammed her. Yeah. Finally pepper sprayed her.
Yeah, what the reality of it is they just need to start arresting these people.
Yeah.
Are you talking about the ICE shooting?
Yes.
2 people are killed.
Two people today?
Killed at Texas facility.
Oh, that's not the original. Who was killed?
It's just 11 minutes ago.
But
so probably one ICE employee and the shooter, because I don't know why we include the shooter in those statistics. It's dumb.
Well, when you hear about conservative violence, or you hear what they're really saying is white guy violence, those statistics always include. When you hear about race violence, white on white violence, and white on black violence, those statistics always include Aryan Brotherhood and prison gangs. Always includes those violence, and it always includes white supremacist violence on wife or girlfriend. Those numbers are always up there. When you remove the prison violence and the spousal violence on that, those numbers go down to fucking none.
Yeah, the reality of is, I think I say this a lot on here, which is true in the concept, in the idea of corruption. I say that the left and the right, when you talk about politics, the Democrats and the Republicans are exactly the same. When we're talking about corruption, right? When we're talking about why we have bills that have 9 trillion pages in them and all that. That's corruption on both sides. They both do it because they both know they can get away with it. But to say that the sides are the same is completely different. You have one side right now that wants nothing other than communication, and another side that wants nothing but war. We're not the same. We're just not the same. And you can't rationalize it by saying, oh, politics is all the same. It's not the same when you have people that are out there that are actually rattling the sabers and shooting at one side versus the other.
Well, how many riots were there when Charlie Kirk got shot?
None.
How many?
Well, I'm sure there was a riot, but it was an anti-Charlie Kirk riot. That's the issue. The difference is, and I keep seeing they've arrested a second person. I saw that several times today and yesterday. But anytime I click on it, it's just like clickbait bullshit. Fake news, yeah. What they're trying to do, the reality is most people don't understand propaganda. And when you see a representative of the United States or people on the news talking about fascism and Nazis, and they're labeling people, that's propaganda. The reality is that's propaganda. That's how propaganda works. It's the same thing we did. It's the same thing we did when we talked about Germans and Japanese during World War II. You have to create that propaganda illusion in order to get some people to commit violence against those other people, right? The idea, take a look at any recruiting posters from World War II. It was very heavy in the realm of revenge and hate. That's exactly what the Democratic Party is doing right now. They're trying to paint this picture, and to say that they're surprised that people within their ranks
who was
are
in charge when those
violence?
posters were out there, the recruiting stuff? Was that Democrats or was that Republicans in charge? I genuinely don't know.
It was Democrats, yeah.
It was.
Yeah, it was FDR. But
that's the new deal. Is FDR the new deal?
I am not gonna say that had anything to do with him as president, because there was a lot of
cabinet.
There was a lot of hate. The interesting thing is there was a lot of hate towards the Japanese. Actually, a lot. It's very interesting. We went to war with Germany before we went to war with Japan. There was more hate against Japan than there ever was against Germany in this country. So
why do you think that is? Just because we were closer and there was more Japanese?
There was just more anti-Japanese sentiment at the time. And again, the Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor, not the Germans.
Right. So was the Japanese hate after Pearl Harbor?
No, there was a lot of to say that 1940s or 1930s America did not have racial issues at that time. They had racial issues at that time, and Asian hate was a real thing.
Do you think the racial issues are the same towards the Somalis in Michigan?
No, not even.
Why is it different now than then?
Because we're way more liberal now. We're way more liberal now than we were.
So there was a mosque being made in Murfreesboro.
Uh-huh.
And I know somebody in Murfreesboro, and I said, we were talking about something. And I said, hey, I heard they're building a big mosque. Oh, the call to prayer in Michigan.
Okay, yeah.
In Michigan, they're doing this call to prayer, and you fucking hear it. And I mean, my perception is you hear it all through Michigan. But I mean, who knows how close this was. But you hear this 6 times a day, they do this call to prayer, and you hear it. And it's not, you don't see the mosque, but you fucking hear this shit. Yeah. And I sent it to this guy I know in Murfreesboro, and I said, hey, I heard they're building one of these mosques in Murfreesboro. He said, no, they told them to shut it down. And when they continued to build, all of the equipment was burnt to the ground, all in one night. Somebody torched all the equipment, and now it's kind of on hold. So so Trump's saying kick Ilhan Omar out of the country, right? And which I think is hilarious. Will there be any tread on that? Will there actually be any movement towards that?
Trump is the thing about Trump is he's very surprised.
I think he tests that water. That's
I don't know if he's testing it.
Let's see how far this goes.
I don't know if he's testing it, but usually when Trump says something, and this is why Democrats are. I don't understand why Democrats haven't figured this out. Why
I heard him today. He's like, I'm always right.
Yeah, I don't know why.
Every time I'm always right.
Their derangement syndrome is so bad that they just can't see this. Here's my honest opinion, Democrats. This is all you have to do. When Trump says something, doesn't matter what it is. If he comes out and he says, the sky's purple, you should take a deep breath. You should take a deep breath and go,
is the sky really purple?
Why the fuck did he just say? You really should be like, why did he just say the sky is purple?
Oh my God, they're going to start dyeing the sky purple.
Well, I mean, because, and the reason why I say this is Trump doesn't say anything unless he's too deep. He's 2 steps deep in it already. He doesn't say anything unless he's 2 steps deep in it already. And so if you're looking at whatever he says from face value, he is fucking trolling you so bad. He's trolling you so bad. And for whatever reason, the Democratic Party just keeps walking right the fuck into it. It's like this thing with Tylenol. The left immediately went insane, started chugging bottles of Tylenol and doing all kinds of crazy shit.
I was just
because he said Tylenol, instead of going, Trump just said this thing about Tylenol. Maybe we ought to take 2 seconds and
look at it.
understand why he just said it and pick apart the reason why he said it versus let's chug Tylenol. I mean, again, if Trump came out tomorrow, I do believe that if Trump came out tomorrow and said arsenic is a deadly poison, don't eat it. There are fucking liberals out there who would be like, I can eat at least a half a pound of arsenic and not die. They're just, I don't understand the derangement syndrome, how bad it is. So again,
So there's chicks all over right now.
I know, chugging the Tylenol.
Pregnant girls, fucking people. I'm taking extra Tylenol every day now because they said not to do it. So what it was is RFK spoke about a study, and the study had some correlation between Tylenol usage in pregnant women and autism. And the number that sticks out in my head, the thing that sticks out is in the year 2000, they said 1 in 50 U.S. children had some spectrum of autism. Today, it's 1 in 35. When you look at the 80s, it was like 1 in 200,000 kids or something. Like the number, like it was almost non-existent in the 80s. RFK said something about Tylenol and correlation with autism. They jump in and they're like, oh my God, some press person asked Trump about it. And Trump, it was funny. Trump's like, acida. And you know when the press conference is over, he's like, why the fuck didn't you just write Tylenol, motherfucker? So he kind of reiterated this and he says, I don't know, maybe there's something to it. Maybe you should just be cognizant of it, basically. Patrick Bet-David found, like, they just looked it right up, and there's a tweet from the company that makes Tylenol in 4 years ago, 6 years ago, when Trump was in office 6 years ago. They tweeted out, if you are pregnant, do not use Tylenol. And like you were saying earlier, the fucking manufacturer, it says right on the bottle, consult your doctor. Yeah. So that it's on them. It's on your doctor now, and it removes it off of them. It said right on here.
Well, the problem is this is the problem with again the liberal media, and RFK says something. Trump, they asked Trump about it, and the liberal media runs with it as if RFK just made that up. There's 20 studies. There's 20 actual scientific. Hey, guess what? Liberal media, let's follow the science. There's actual 20 studies that
10 years ago
do correlations. John Hopkins, who does all the major studies, is like, hey, there's a correlation to this thing. So again, that's why I'm saying, like,
10 years ago they said stop taking Tylenol on a daily basis. People are having to have kidney transplants.
Again, it's crazy that just because they're so deranged that anything that they say, they have to counter it to the point of their own death. Don't jump off the cliff, you're gonna die. There are fucking liberals out there that would just run and jump off. It's amazing the lemmies that they have in their party. They're just, I don't understand it. I don't understand it. It's like I saw something today. It's going to be the Democratic ticket is going to be Gavin Newsom and Jimmy Kimmel.
Dude, they're actually pushing AOC.
They're not pushing anybody. They don't have. There's no leadership within the party. They're at the worst. They're at the worst they've ever been. They're at 19% approval rating. They're hemorrhaging voters by the fucking tons, like millions of voters. They are hemorrhaging because of this idea that they have that they're going to fight tooth and nail to the end for things that don't matter. Americans are done with that shit. Like even the Fed had to come out this week and go, yeah, we were all wrong. Tariffs are not affecting inflation. We're going to lower interest rates. And they hate Donald Trump. Like they hate Donald Trump to the core. The problem is, again, and I've said this several times on this podcast. He's so fucking predictable. Donald Trump is very predictable. And so if he opens his mouth about, I don't know, the Gulf, if he opens his mouth up about the Gulf of America, you might as well start changing the maps because he's already 10 deep into it. Like he's already passed whatever argument you have. You're going to make some stupid argument that it's been the Gulf of Mexico forever. Well, this is North America, and Mexico's in North America. Gulf of America. He's just so far deep into it. Now, I'm not saying that Trump is some sort of fucking magical wizard. He's not some magical wizard. I think he's very easy to figure out, and I also think that he's kind of, if you're within his circle and you have been vetted, I also think that Trump is kind of easy to manipulate as far as getting certain things done that you want to get done. Like, I think if you put a small problem in front of Trump, and you're like, I don't know why the government can't handle this. Trump's like, government can handle this. Send in the National Guard. You know what? Like
Double dog dare you.
Yeah, he's a double dog dare you kind of guy. As long as it's something within the realm of possibility. So he's very predictable. But the Democrats are so fucking deranged. They have such derangement. They can't see through the fog. They're looking right at the wall. They're just looking at the wall. And Trump says something over here, and they will not turn around and go, oh, I'm actually about to drown because the water is coming up around my neck. They're just, I don't get it.
It's our identity.
Here's the thing. It's not the Democratic Party's identity. The Democratic Party has lost its identity.
Well, they've got this pet, right? It's the few crazy amongst them that gets the most views, and they've got this pet. They adopted these little dinosaurs, right? They took these tigers and they mixed this dinosaur DNA, and they were super cute when they were like fucking 20 pounds running around the house. And now we don't know what the dinosaur DNA was going to do, and now they've got this massive fucking creature that just fucking destroys and eats everything. And they can't keep it in the cage, and they can't feed it enough, and now it's their identity. It is what fucking that is what they are. The reasonable, and they've been beaten down so much over the last 6, 7, 8 years with social media. If you say something out of line, they lock you down just like they locked us down. I mean, that came out yesterday. I guess there was some congressional hearings, and the head of Alphabet, which controls everything, said we were told by the White House to limit these accounts, and now all of a sudden all the accounts are off. So in just a magic push of a button over the last couple of days, all these YouTube accounts that had disappeared are all back online. Yeah. And now all of a sudden you're getting reach. I see people in kind of, people that I watch and listen to, and they're like, holy shit, I just got 1 million views on this video, and I haven't been able to break 10,000 views on any video in the last 5 years. The algorithm is fucking, the slate's clean right now.
Yeah, everything that the unfortunate.
So my point to that is the normal Democrat who is now liberal and then fucking super crazy whack job, they kind of went along with the line, right?
Oh,
and
yeah.
They're kind of being able to say what their true belief is. Again,
that's like I have the same stance on Bill Maher, that everybody's like. Everybody's all pro Bill Maher now, right? They're all pro Bill. But if you,
well, he did move out of California, right?
I don't know if he did or not, but if you look at Bill Maher and his stick that he's been using for the last 30 years, the thing about the Democratic Party is they created this monster. They are the ones that created this monster. Now, I say good for Bill Maher that he recognizes that the monster is out of control, but to give them all a pass because they created this monster, I don't, again, he's still part of the problem. Like, he's still part of the problem. He still talks in a manner that is part of the problem. It's nice that he's talking to people, but he says his only truths. Like, he says the truth, but he doesn't want to listen to the truth that he says. Like, there's a prime example with, a bunch of lefties went after him they're like, why don't you have Kamala Harris on your show? Why don't you have a Gavin Newsom on your show? And Bill Maher's like, I voted for these people and they won't come on my show. You know who will come on my show? Republicans.
Well, Bill Maher was in California, right? And during the fires, there was some issue and they won't issue. He was building,
Are you sure it's Bill Maher? Bill Maher. I think Bill Maher. Go ahead.
So Bill Maher was trying to build like a guest house or something, and they kept hitting him with all these codes, and he had to get all this. It took it took 8 years to finish this thing. He was on Rogan, I think, talking about it. So he leaves California, and Rogan's like, "Well, that's a Democratic state. That's Gavin. No, it's not Gavin Newsom's fault. It's it's just local corruption. Yeah." In a Democratic state, fucking you came to Texas. I think you went to and had no problems. You just build this shit.
That's the problem with Democrats. They think they can create utopia when they would actually create utopia hell.
Okay, tell us what happened with Jimmy Kimmel.
I can tell you exactly what happened with Jimmy Kimmel. So when you think about late night television,
there's no viewership anymore.
Late night television was actually a federally subsidized government propaganda tool for the Democratic Party. It was being subsidized. They were paying these companies to continue.
When USAID.
They were paying these companies to continue to run this propaganda.
Just like public broadcasting.
When you think about Colbert, right? And everybody's like, oh, Trump did it. Trump had nothing to do with it. The federal government was audited by Elon and his gang, and they were finding all this money that was being funneled into these organizations that weren't real.
Same reason there's no riot season this year.
And so that all got shut off. So now I'll just use Disney example. You're this major corporation, and you have these entities that are losing money hand and fist that you can't recoup through some sort of back channel government thing. Colbert was the worst. 200 employees, $40 million annually lost in revenue with no viewership. So, again, there are cat videos on TikTok that get more views than the Colbert Show. So you have this loss there. And the Democratic Party can't afford to pay you anymore to keep him up. So what do you got to do? You got to get rid of Colbert. You got to get rid of him. But the reality is all those late night hosts are getting paid way too much for the amount of viewerships, and it doesn't matter how many Tylenol commercials you run, it's not going to pay off what they did. So Jimmy Kimmel has said some hateful shit on his show for years.
That is the reason.
That all this was an excuse for them to get him in the room and renegotiate his contract. I guarantee you that two things happened though. They brought him in the room to renegotiate his contract. Kimmel threatened to sue all the fucking liberals that were out there talking about blowing up Disneyland again.
Well, they shot at the ABC, but they've arrested 2 people for that.
Threats of violence against the corporation in order to imagine that they're using threats of violence to keep Jimmy Kimmel on when
nobody watches him.
Nobody watches him. So
his viewership is down 80% in the last 24 months.
I think what happened was Kimmel went in there, good lawyers, threatened to sue because of his contract, and they're like, okay, we're going to call this a suspension and we'll put you back on.
But his contract is up. His contract was nearing the end.
Its contract's up in May.
So Iger brought him in and said, you can't say these things, we're canceling. Now, Johnny Carson, I didn't even know Carson was still alive. Carson popped up somewhere. Is he not alive?
No, he's dead. Carson died.
So who used to be... So I thought it was Carson.
You're thinking Jay Leno.
No, Jay Leno said something also. Yeah. But who's the other tonight? Look and see who who?
Conan O'Brien?
No, the other. Who did Jay Leno take over for?
Jay Leno took it from Carson, but Carson
Look and see if Carson's alive.
No, he died.
Okay, so Leno said, when I was 59, right at 60, which I guess Conan O'Brien is at 60 right now, I think, because this is what Jay Leno said. Leno said, when I was near 60, they called me in and they said, hey, you're not the demographic anymore. Start thinking an exit strategy. And Leno said I was able to hold on to the show for a few more years. And that's what's going on. Now, somebody else, I thought it was Johnny Carson, came out and spoke on this also.
Well, he might have spoke on it previously, but yeah, Johnny Carson died.
So Iger, he was the CEO of Disney. He was a hated CEO of Disney.
Yeah.
And then under the pressure, just like you said, with the shooting at ABC, and apparently there was a couple of other shootings also. Everybody's in elevated security right now. They bring him on. So I heard some of the clips from last night. PBD, Valuetainment, did a thing on it this morning. They played some of it. And he genuinely, his voice was cracking, and he was talking about, Charlie Kirk, and, he sounded like he was about to cry a few times. You know what he never fucking said? I'm sorry for the way this sounded. It was not a genuine apology.
They don't do that. They don't say they're sorry because he's not sorry.
Now, Bet David said...
Well, how about this? His voice cracking and him saying... It's maybe not even an act. He's sorry that he almost lost his job.
Maybe.
He's sorry he almost lost his job, but that's about it.
Bet David said, hey, I can tell you how, I'll give you some free business advice. I can tell you how to fix this. Your viewership is down. You're not funny. And the thing is, he's super funny. Like, as a comedian.
Well, he could be. Yeah, but he hasn't been in a long time.
Right. But all it is anti-Trump, Trump. He's like, you want to turn this around? Invite fucking Charlie Kirk's wife on the show. Invite, why can I never think of his name? They're going to kill him next. What's, Tucker Carlson. They invite Tucker Carlson on, right? When they pulled the statistics, they had, I think they said they had 220 guests on over the last, 2 seasons or whatever. 2 of them were conservatives. And Pat David said, we talked to everybody. He's like, I had Netanyahu on 2 weeks ago, and everybody's like, why would you have Israel on? And then he had on, who's the kid? Why can't I think of his name? The young kid, everybody calls a Nazi. They totally deplatformed him. They still won't let him on. They still won't let him on YouTube.
Are you talking about he's gay, has a...
No, you're thinking Milo.
Milo, yeah.
No, the other one. Oh my God. Anyways, he just had this kid on yesterday. And they're like, why would you have him on? And he asked him, he's like, who are you more worried about, Jews or Nazis? He's like, I'm way more worried about the Jews. The Nazis don't exist. They just call us Nazis. Like, there are no Nazis. I can't think of his name. My God, every time I do this, there'll be 100 comments. It's probably good that I should just pretend I don't know what his name is, because people will leave. Nick Fuentes. Yeah, Fuentes.
Nick Fuentes sounds like a backup dancer for the
young kid.
Boys.
Super well spoken. Anyways, he had him on. He's like, we have everybody on. He's like, we tried 35 times to have Kamala Harris come on the show. She won't come on the show.
Yeah, because
we tried 30.
Scripted.
We tried 30 sometimes to get Don Lemon to come on the show.
Yeah.
They won't come on the show. He's like, you want to save your show? You guys had they had 2 conservatives on. One of them was the MyPillow guy. He's like, that's your show. That's your show right there with the MyPillow guy that had more views than every other show you had in the 24 months.
The problem is the problem is there's a lot of things that are going on, but one of the things that is really going on is the TV late night model is dead.
TV is dead.
But the model is dead. So you can't really look at it and go, oh, we should still be doing this because it's what's it doing for us? It's not doing anything for you.
My question to all that, right? They know they're dying. They know they're on a ship going down. Why not save the fucking ship?
No, because they don't have the capability. They don't understand that.
Does Jimmy Kimmel not want to save the ship?
No,
he's going to get paid anyway.
He's going to get paid.
He just doesn't care.
Because again, Jimmy Kimmel's running on the old model, right? Jimmy Kimmel's running on the old model. He knows that his contract pays out to a certain day. It doesn't matter if he makes a good show or not.
Look up for me? Does Wall Street Journal still print a newspaper?
I don't think so. But
okay, because Wall Street Journal now is all online. You can't just go fucking read it. You got to pay for it.
Yeah,
you got to pay to watch to look at their shit that's online. They don't print I assume they still print a newspaper, but that's like those guys holding on to the old way of doing news. Like that, the United States was built on. And all of propaganda was distributed, right? Yeah. All those paid ads, and you look at those big printers row and all that stuff. That shit's gone. It doesn't exist anymore, and those entities no longer exist either, because we can get free information.
Again, they haven't.
That is, I can go onto Twitter or I can go onto TikTok, and get a pretty good idea of what's actually happening within 15 minutes, just looking at both sides. Whereas if I go look at fucking Wall Street Journal, first I got to pay to see it, And then I'm only getting whatever fucking spin they're giving me.
Yeah, no, again, they're using all the old models. And the reality is, from just a human perspective, we're very bad at transitioning to a new model. We if you think about it, like, we'll just use newspapers. The predominant newspapers of our generation, they held on to that to the very end. They had no idea how they were. Is that a beard here?
Yeah, it's yours.
That's a floaty. No, that can't be mine. Mine are heavy.
Your whale penis bone fucking comb's not working.
That can't be mine because mine are heavy. That's a light.
Verquois, what's it called?
That's got to be one.
What's
Randall's.
the fucking brush?
I bet that's a pube too.
What's the narwhal penis bone?
Yeah, narwhal penis bone. Yeah.
What's it called?
Verticole.
Verticole.
It's the best brush ever made.
With tail and mane, hoof and mouth.
Hoof and mouth. They
what?
They do still print them.
Because I think we need a printing press.
It's the first rule of guerrilla warfare.
There we go. What will we call our guerrilla warfare school? We're just kidding. We're not opening a guerrilla warfare school.
Yeah, you don't really open a guerrilla warfare school.
Let's have a guerrilla warfare museum.
That would be cool. Museum. Guerrilla warfare museum.
If you know where there's a printing press.
We could have a trail. We could have a trail that people have to walk down that has fucking booby traps on it.
What's that thing they used to
They
have
have to sign a waiver. They have to sign a waiver to go down the trail because they might step on a punji.
Do you remember
stick.
in first, second, third grade when you get in trouble, or fourth, fifth grade you get in trouble, and they send you to the office to see the principal, and you see the lady there with they're smearing the blue ink and what's that thing called?
That was a
type of printing,
it was
but
a type
it wasn't
of
that.
printing
What was that called? The blue.
I don't remember what it's called,
I
but that's
can't
the type of
remember.
printing
I'm
press.
like a little bit younger than that.
Yeah.
No, I think we get a real printing press. Like at all the antique stores, I see all the typeset and the typeset trays and shit. I just think it'd be cool to have that.
It's
We'll use the blood of our enemies for our ink.
Denzel Washington. It's like there's no books anymore.
I don't know, but what about Fahrenheit? What's Fahrenheit, the temperature at which a book burns?
154.
Fahrenheit 154. You ever read that book?
Yeah, right. And watch the movie.
I was listening to it every morning while I was in the gym, and I never did finish it, but it was fucking pretty fascinating.
Anyways, yeah, so I don't even know what we were talking about besides book burning.
First
Randall,
what is the first rule of guerrilla warfare?
Control the information. Book burning is not a good thing, Brandel, so stop agreeing with that, you damn book burner. Control of information.
Yesterday.
What?
I bought 5 books yesterday.
Is your girlfriend a liberal?
No. I mean, I think she's
Why? Never mind.
probably more northern. I mean, she's from
Northern?
Oregon.
What the hell is that? What kind of political affiliation is that?
That's
She's more northern.
She's a Yankee.
She's more northern.
She's from
What
Oregon.
kind of, you
Oregon.
know what? Hey, I hope we can. You know what? I'm gonna count on you. I'm gonna count on you. I want a new northern political party.
That's
more northern.
That's what
It's
I'm
more of a northern political party. I want a new northern political party. That's what we need.
I'll come up with our rules.
Where do the girls with the biggest titties come from?
Real or fake?
It doesn't matter.
What? Yeah, of course it matters.
Does it matter?
Of course it matters. There's a lot of fake ones out there that are just like.
I don't know any
Terrible.
Yankees. Like I've never been above Tennessee.
You know Yankees? You lived in California.
Those aren't Yankees.
Those are Yankees.
No, we were in the South.
No, we weren't. We did
It's
not.
in the southern hemisphere.
We did not fight.
It's
for the
closer.
South.
It's
South
way
is right
closer to the
here,
equator.
Not anywhere.
Yeah, you're not. You're a Yankee. You would be considered a Yankee.
No, I have lived in Tennessee longer than I lived in California.
And what? And you know the rule, right?
What?
You know the rule?
I have grandkids from here.
No, that's not the rule. 100 years is the rule.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is. You go ask Jack Garland. Their family has been here for 50 years, and they are still not considered locals.
We got a buddy when they bought the farm, it came with 2 black folks. And I'm like, what? He goes, when we bought the farm, he took us and showed us. There's still 2 cabins with no power or running water. And he said when we got the farm, there was 2 black folks. And he said when they lived on the farm with us until they were like 80. And he said he took him and got him into an assisted living facility at when he was 83. He said the man was fully capable up until then. And it used to be owned by a Russian outfit.
German.
I thought it was
German.
Russian. And during the Depression, a family brought these 2 young children, I think it said during the Depression, and gave them to the German outfit. I thought it was a Russian outfit.
Gave them to the farm. Said we can't take care of them
We can't
anymore.
afford to feed them.
And they
these
lived
kids.
they lived on the farm forever.
Wild.
Probably not uncommon in that time period.
No, I mean,
I know the only reason why I say that is because like my mom. So my mom and my uncle would have been during that time period, pretty close. You know, right there in the 30s, right there in the 30s or early 40s, late 50s, and it was not uncommon for grandma to just drop the kids off at, like I have pictures of my mom and her brother together, and they're at an orphanage. That's where the picture was taken. It was the orphanage that took the pictures of the kids, and that's the youngest pictures I have of my mom, because it wasn't uncommon back then for women to just drop kids off at the orphanage and be like, can't afford to take care of them.
so was your mother left at an orphanage?
Yeah, several times.
That wasn't just babysitting.
No. Left at an orphanage.
Several times.
Several times. That was the...
So her
for
real mom came back and got her for a period of time?
That it was a... And I don't know how common it was. Common it was, but if you think about institutions allowing this to happen, it had to have been pretty common for divorced single women to just drop their kids off at these places and go on the hunt for a new man and then come back and pick up their kids.
Interesting.
And then
can you
get a new man. And
can you slide up here for a minute where you're closer to the microphone?
Why? What's he going to do?
Oh, I want to talk about something he brought up weeks ago.
Uh-oh.
What'd I bring up? Can you hear me?
Kind of along the lines of this. Not
Can you black your face out so
not the
nobody
same,
knows it's
but
you?
we were talking about old pet shops and like how awesome old pet shops were and how kids will never, like the circus, right? A kid will never go to a circus and see an elephant. He'll never get to touch a lion. He'll never get to, ride on an elephant or a camel, maybe a camel. But Brandel, we were talking, you're in Crossville. Mm-hmm. They have an old pet shop that this little Asian lady runs. And at the pet shop, his mom would bring him to the pet shop and just leave him there for the day at the pet shop. And he has, I think it was your ex?
Yeah.
She also, as a child, her mom would bring her to the pet shop and just leave them at the pet shop, and the lady would babysit the kids, and the kids would just run around the pet shop and stuff.
She barely speaks English.
She had monkeys and shit.
I wonder, do you think that there was any
pay, or was it an organized thing?
Any type of compensation? Not necessarily pay. Do you think there was any type of compensation?
I don't think so.
Do you
She's
think
still there to this day?
Do you think your mom knew her?
Do you take her gifts?
No. She knows exactly who I am when I walk in.
Dude, I want to get her on I want a podcast.
Why don't you
with her.
take her gifts? That woman.
How old do you think she
took
is?
care of your hooligan ass.
I mean, she's Vietnamese, so she looks 30, but she's got to be 80 or 90.
Does she have family with her now?
I don't think.
No kids?
I've never in my life seen another
She does have
employee.
family.
Does she still run a pet shop?
Yeah, she still runs it
My
right
God.
down the road.
Wait a minute. Did you say your
She could be my real boss.
Wait, your wife was also dropped off there?
No, my ex.
Oh, your ex. Okay, because I was gonna say that's weird.
Maybe your wife is your sister.
Right now.
Not anymore. Look, right now.
She's from Oregon.
Hey, it's okay. You're in Tennessee. It's okay, bro.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
It's okay. Did you see Russia in some state in Russia? Well, it used to be Russia. They passed a law that you're not allowed to marry your first cousin anymore. So their population and birth rate is super way down. They passed a law like 10 years ago. You can't marry your
Go
first
ahead and
cousin.
do a DNA test of Pakistan.
Can we get her? Can we do a podcast with her?
Probably. I mean, she is 300 feet from my house.
Does she have any cool animals there still?
It's been 3 years since I've gone.
Can you go in there?
Neglected my mother.
Can you go in there this week?
That is terrible. You need to go take her some flowers.
Wicks Water World.
Wicks
There
Water
she is.
World. It's little Mary Pong.
You should go take her flowers.
her.
You need to go take her flowers and be like, thanks, Grandma.
Does it smell like Vietnamese
Awful.
food in there?
No. It smells. It's like pungent baby poop. Like right when you walk in, just from all the
How many?
animals.
Yeah,
and
how many?
cages.
Does she still have a lot of animals there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Does it smell like my garage?
Oh,
No.
not as pungent.
She
Not as bad.
She also goes to local shelters and gets puppies and will sell them there. I don't know if that's
awesome.
legal. To say,
Who cares,
but-
man? She's got the. She's feeding
saving
the animals.
Yeah, she's saving the animals.
And that's the crazy thing, right? Even if that was illegal, why the fuck would that be illegal?
Well, I'm sure there's a Karen out there that would be like,
So
"Eh."
people ask all the time. Speaking of like them dropping those children at the farm and stuff, people ask all the time on the live feed, like, "Is there a civil war coming? Is there a civil?" I go, "I don't know if there's a civil war coming, but something is happening right now because the rate of animal abandonment is so high." Right? I mean, just looking at the local Facebook group here, and then I'm in a Bowling Green group, and I'm in a Clarksville group, and several others. So I just see these posts pretty commonly. And the animal abandonment rate is through the roof. Like even Tad, down at the end of the road, somebody's like, "Hey, somebody dropped off all these roosters." And I get it. Nobody takes roosters. You don't want them. Somebody dropped them off. Now some Karen will adopt them. But they're leaving whole litters of puppies places, and they're leaving all these kittens. I mean, we get cats. People just drop because they know we'll feed them.
You're the new Loretta Lynn.
We'll talk about that in a minute.
You're the new Loretta Lynn.
We'll talk about that in a minute. But the animal, and I always say, I go, when you look at things like the Holodomor or the Great Depression here or any of those things, they always ate the animals, right? During the Great Depression, there was no horses, there was no mules. They were using dogs to pull carts because they had eaten the horses and they had eaten all the mules. So the first thing is they abandoned the animals, and we're in such a princess area, like all these in time right now. Nobody knows how to process an animal, and nobody would, slaughter the animal and go, "Oh, I'm really hungry. I should probably eat this rooster." So they abandoned the animals. And then the next thing they would do after they ate all the animals is they would eat the children. But people wouldn't eat their own children a lot of times. They would swap children. They'd swap the smaller child with the neighbor, and they would eat their child, and then the neighbor would eat their child. So I don't know I'm not saying people are eating children, but there is a higher level of animal abandonment. All of your shelters right now, all of your shelters are max capacity. And all of your no-kill shelters, they're starting to fucking kill animals.
It's a princess issue, really, more than anything.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a princess issue more than anything, because it's not that people don't understand how to take those animals apart, because the reality is they're not hungry. I mean, the reality is, even
I said that before.
They're not hungry yet. Otherwise, those roosters would have never shown up.
Yeah, when people
but what
say
they don't have, what people don't have,
they're too lazy to feed themselves.
What they don't have is they don't have that expendable money to keep throwing at things that don't produce anything, right? Why would you keep feeding roosters? Because they don't produce anything. Why would you keep feeding this dog? It doesn't produce. It was a comfort item that you had, and now that comfort item, I hate to say it, but these people throwing away these animals are looking at it like, they're looking at it from a perspective of like, I'm just not going to go to Starbucks this week. I'm going to save a couple dollars. When in the reality is, there's homeless people out there with dogs, people. You've just made the wrong choices.
Well, the homeless people with dogs generally have a larger income, because
you just made the wrong choices.
The homeless person hustles and stands with the fucking sign at the four-way stop.
I just say that thing. You just made the wrong choices. So again, I don't think we're not in danger of people
eating children,
eating horses yet, because people aren't really that hungry. But we do have we're at the top of this financial crisis that's been brewing for not really crisis, more inflation, because inflation, when you think about the Biden administration, they spent their entire time telling everybody it wasn't happening, even though it was really happening. Now we're at the peak of that inflation.
Does it matter?
And people are out of money.
Does it matter how we got there? It's still a crisis.
No, it's not. It's not a crisis.
Do you agree that your dollar goes way less?
Of course.
Things are tighter.
Things are way more
Things
expensive.
we would have done 2-3 years ago, we are now questioning and planning.
The
more.
issue is what you're looking at is convenience. What you're looking at is you're trying to what people are trying to do is pile convenience in with crisis. Can I not go get the silly thing that I wanted to get? Yeah, I can't because my dollar doesn't go as far as it used to. Am I making choices? So again, I'm on a fixed income. It's not a lot of money. The reality is if you said, are you living paycheck to paycheck? Of course. I'm on a very fixed income and it's not a lot of money. I'm not making choices. I'm not making choices on whether I should eat tonight, or I'm not going, next month is just going to be top ramen month, or I'm in the garage eating MREs.
But you're not going out to eat ribeye every night.
No, but again, you're confusing convenience. That's a luxury. Going to eat ribeye every night is a luxury.
No, it's a must.
It's a luxury. That's the problem with you rich elites. That's the problem with you rich elites. You rich elites think that, I could have a different color Porsche every week, and now that I can't have purple, it's a problem.
Did you tell him? Did you tell him about the Porsche?
But again,
I did not get a new Porsche.
They didn't have I just said because they didn't have the color because times are tough. We can't do metallic purple.
The color.
Do you really think I'd have a fucking purple car?
We didn't get the.
I still make fun of Todd for having a purple Corvette
with the flake in it, with the metallic flake in it.
He did have a cool fucking 4570 lever gun with the Corvette, and killed some cool bears. But nonetheless, he still didn't. The license plate say Barney?
For some reason, when you say that, I feel like I see the back of that thing, but I don't remember the license plate. But again, what we're feeling right now is the pinch of the convenience.
Well, when's it gonna ease up?
Well, you just had the Fed this week because again, we're in this weird world.
Yeah, but the Fed lowering interest rate means the dollar's worth less. Silver and gold are through the roof right now.
No, what happens? The reason why silver and gold are through the roof is because the Fed won't lower interest rates. We're in this kind of weird world where there's a problem. There's this inflation problem.
Yeah, we need vanilla ice.
But there's this inflation problem that has been created because we spend way too much fucking money. That is what makes the dollar. The inflation is what makes the dollar not worth as much because we spend way too much, or we create way too much money. And you have created this new administration that wants to solve this problem.
It's going to take
but the remnants, but the remnants of the old are fighting him because they don't want him to be the one who solves the problem. Like, you really have an elite class in this country right now who are fighting tooth and nail.
I don't think they're even in the country.
Think about it. They're fighting tooth and nail to keep crime in their cities. They're fighting tooth and nail to keep crime in their cities and to keep the economy crippling for Americans because they cannot let him fix it. They don't want him to fix it. The problem is because just like before, they don't look past the curtain. They're just like, Trump is evil. Because they don't look past the curtain, they don't understand that the things that he's doing are actually kind of working. So they have to they can't, like, the Fed can't keep interest rates up high. Fed's going to have to lower those interest rates. What happens is when the interest rates go down, that allows more flexibility in how you use your money. So all the people that are complaining, the reality is all the people that are complaining they can't afford to buy a home, that's going to change if the interest rates go down. It will change if the interest rates go down. So there's more flexibility once they drop the interest rates.
When at Amanda's birthday,
Bob
was bringing a Barrett 50 cal out, right? Amanda wanted to shoot 50 cal. And you found Barrett 50 cal ammo for $3.85 a round. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
How much is it right now?
I cannot believe it's... I bet searching I can still find it for kind of in that range.
Because is ammunition not a good sign of economy also? Just like kind of silver to
no,
silver? Or is it because people are not buying it so they've had to lower the prices?
Yeah, the problem is ammunition is not a good sign of the economy because ammunition fluctuates based off of a lot of times the price of ammunition fluctuates based off of fear versus
scarcity
versus a reality of scarcity. Now, because of the war in Ukraine, we've had a scarcity, and everybody has ramped up. But that ramp up need has actually slowed down. And so prices of ammunition are actually starting to go down. But because of inflation, they're kind of holding at like just below COVID prices. But 50 cal is different. So 50 cal, the issue there is 50 cal is different. 50 cal, even during a lot of the ammunition scare, when people are like, oh my God, I gotta pay $5,000 for 10 9mm rounds, 50 cal was still the same price. Same thing with the guns, because very niche, right? It's a Barrett 50 cal. While there are a lot of them out there, it's still a very niche thing. And guys who own Barrett 50 cals, they don't really shoot them. Like maybe 100 rounds a year, right? I put 100 rounds a year through that. That's probably a lot. I bet 99% of the Barrett 50 cals you see in the hands of civilians have less than 50 rounds fired through them, because you have a couple of really unique problems. One, it fires way too far. Like, it just fires way too far. It does cost money. Like, if you're thinking you're getting 5.56 ammunition at, let's say it's, I don't know what it is right now, but let's say it's 61 cents a round.
I thought it was down like 35 cents a round.
That was pre-COVID. I don't think we've hit that again. But you're getting it for under $1, and then the 50 cal, it's anywhere from, it could be anywhere from $100 down to $3, depending on the ammunition, right? So depending on the ammunition you're shooting through it, even if it's a bargain basement deal and you get it for $3.50, that's still $3.50 every time you pull the trigger. 10 rounds in a box magazine will go off in about
10 seconds.
Yeah, probably 30 seconds with recovery time. So 30 seconds. So that's it gets expensive real quick. Like,
I'm still not recovered from standing next to Bob when he fucking
when
shot that shit standing up.
When the boss came out and shot his 50 cal, he brought his friend out, one of his railroad buddies out, and they shot the 50 cal, and it was super cash. We weren't trying to do anything particular. He basically just wanted his buddy to know he had a 50 cal, and they shot some ammo, and I could see the wheels a turning because the casing started piling up a little bit, and like, I think it was after the first pull, he's like, Did I just spend $75?
Plus, he probably had to go get dental work the next day.
He's like, did I just spend $75? I'm like, it depends. I'm like, it depends on what kind of money you're looking at. If you're looking at $2,025, you spend a lot more than that. But if you're looking at, let's see, these rounds were made in 1979. It was probably only about $1.50 a pop. So again, it just depends. So the thing about it though is 50 cal is kind of niche, and so the price doesn't fluctuate that much.
How many rounds can you put through a Barrett before it's taking a toll on the Barrett?
I don't know the answer to that question.
It's not like a Glock, right?
What do you mean?
Well, like, you can just shoot a Glock for 10,000 rounds. Don't clean it. Fucking leave it out in the back of your truck in the weather, and then when the snow melts, you're like, oh, here's a Glock.
It's not.
It's not like an AK.
Well, it's an interesting question, because even in the Marine Corps, so we've had, excuse me, the Marine Corps has had a form of the Barrett 50 cal. I think they still have the M107s. Not sure, because the fucking Marine Corps likes to get rid of things that work. But
where would they go if they got rid of them?
They'd go to one of the arsenals, and they would sit in. They would basically, anytime we defunk a weapon system, like anytime we get rid of a weapon, like something you lived through, the transition from MP5s to M4 carbines for the CQB mission.
Yeah, where'd all those go?
All those MP5s went to one of the depots, either the depot out there in high desert. What is it? Yermo? Either Yermo.
But who gets them from there?
Hold on. They either go into one of the three. The Marine Corps has three weapons depots where weapons go into, basically what we call combat storage. And so what they do is they put those weapons in those depots and keep them.
Climate controlled.
They're climate controlled, but they keep them in a. They keep them ready for operations, and those are the places that, if, for example, we went to fight the Chinese, and we had to put 1 million men in uniform. Those are the places that they raid first before they have Remington turn out 10,000 new weapons.
So does that look like big steel buildings, or is
Yeah,
that
it's
like
just
a cave underground?
No, it's just going to be. We're not as cool as the Soviet Union was, burying all our fucking war stock. It's just going to be a fucking climate controlled.
Burying there, what did that look like? They just put them
No,
in underground bases?
They would just put them in fucking underground bases. I don't know if you saw when the Russians. I don't know if you saw what's that. Who's that stupid Russian mercenary group?
Wagner?
Wagner. When Wagner captured one of the.
I don't think those are stupid.
They don't.
I think those guys are pretty.
Yeah, if you think you're going to be the head of this outside military influence organization within the Soviet Union and Putin's not going to kill you eventually, yeah, you're stupid.
Well, I think that they were coerced by the CIA or something.
No,
or somebody like they didn't just let's go overthrow fucking Putin.
What happened was Wagner at that time period. I know we're going on a tangent here, but Wagner at that time period
we're about to go on one even further.
Was having the most success. So out of the army units that were fighting the Ukrainians, Wagner was having the most success. Wagner was having the most success in Africa. Wagner was the military unit that was being successful. And because of that, old boy's pants got a little too big and thought he could fucking push Putin around, and not understanding that Putin is the master spy, and that is why he is dead. And Wagner as an organization, you don't really hear about them anymore.
Did Prince shut down Blackwater, or did the government shut down Blackwater?
I think Prince did.
Do you think that's because they were going to fucking off him? He was a threat to somebody?
No,
I'm going to come out of this while I can?
It wasn't that big. We do kind of make Blackwater out to be.
Did you hear his interview on Sean Ryan talking about how many aircraft he had?
Yeah, but again, in the scheme of reality, the difference is the difference. I'll say this: the difference in we'll say Wagner versus Prince's crew, Blackwater, is Wagner had real full military units, meaning they had self-propelled guns. They had anything that the
Did Prince not have that?
No.
Were those Blackhawks not fully armed and everything?
No, those Blackhawks were just Blackhawks. Yeah, you could put, but again, in the scheme of things, it would be imagine if Wagner had because again, we're talking about size that matters. Imagine if Wagner had a brigade size element.
How many is that?
A lot. That had M1, just a lot. M1 Abrams.
100,000.
Look it up on the Googles. But had M1 Abrams. Like, Blackhawk didn't have M1 Abrams. Blackhawk had some, Blackwater had some Little Birds. They had some Blackhawks. That's not Apache helicopters.
What about the
Wagner had the Russians' version of Apache helicopter. Wagner had everything that the regular military had. As a matter of fact, there was a point when they were going into, I think when Wagner was trying to take over Bakhmut, if I remember right, there was a point where the Russian military was giving them more than the regular army because they were being more successful. So it's not even the comparison is, I would say the comparison's nowhere near. Was Blackwater better than Wagner? I would probably say at an individual basis. So when you're talking about individual troops, Blackwater was probably better than Wagner. But when you're talking about military power, the Blackwater didn't even come close to what Wagner had.
Seychelles.
Yeah, Seychelles Islands. What about them? Been there.
Who tried to take over the Seychelles?
That was Mike Hoare, the fucking wild geese commander.
Why? What made him do that?
They were just trying to overthrow the government.
Who funded them?
I don't remember who funded that. It had to have been like, usually all those operations are funded by the former dictators or the former.
Not the CIA cutout.
No, it wouldn't be not the Seychelles. CIA don't give a shit about Seychelles Islands. It's tiny. Like even today, there's one hotel on the island, like one real hotel on the island. It's just a layover for air crews that are flying into Africa.
Did you watch the Tucker Carlson thing on 9/11 I sent you the other day?
No, I didn't watch it.
Oh my dude, it's a 5-part series. The first part's out. That's what I sent you. He interviewed some FBI guys, and they're like, we had we had these guys. We knew who they were, and when we were going to pick them up, and the CIA said, no, we're working this angle. These are don't touch these guys. One of the pilots from 9/11, or one of the supposed pilots 9/11, lived in San Diego, and it was a CIA dude, got them, rented their house, got them lines of credit, got them their bank account set up and everything. Dude, it's fucking wild. Like, they're going to go after... That's why I sent it to you. I want you to listen to this.
Yeah, but if you don't think...
It's 40 minutes.
It's...
So they're letting Tucker Carlson do this? Is that what you think?
No, if you don't... Again, it's actually common... we tend to rehash things out and micromanage the idea of what we're rehashing out. We knew after the World Trade Center went down, after the World Trade Center went down, before we went into Iraq, we knew as a country and a government that government entities within the United States had already red flagged all these guys. They knew who these guys were. Now, the argument can be made when you say, because again, it's the federal government. These guys, sorry CIA, sorry NSA, probably not the NSA, because you don't ever hear about the NSA fucking up unless it's female agents sneaking out 1 million dick pics. But name a successful operation that we've ever conducted in completely covert situation. We're terrible at it. We are fucking terrible at those operations. So even if the CIA, because the argument could be made from a CIA perspective is, we've identified this threat. We know this threat's here. Let's see where the rabbit takes us. Because again, even in the drug world, right? If you're law enforcement, when you arrest some dude on a corner who's selling dime bags, you don't care about him. Yeah, you're gonna work him backwards. The public is like, yay, they're doing something against crime. But unless you're fucking bringing El Chapo in, you're not doing anything. The guys who are working the street, you're not doing anything. It's the same thing. It's the same thing with terrorist organizations. The guy who was wearing the bomb vest, that dude, he is so fucking low on the totem pole and so irrelevant in the structure of that organization that even if you did capture him, you're not going to get anything that is worthwhile out of him. And so from a central intelligence agency or any agency, what you want to do is you want to be able to locate those type of people and try and figure out their network. And in order for them to be able to locate, and figure out their network, that takes time. And if the bad guys execute the mission before you have found and located that network, they've executed the mission.
Will you look up what the population of Ukraine currently is? Or what was it 2 years ago versus now? Okay, so...
Where are we at? Shitting our pants?
Ukraine.
What about Ukraine?
How many people... What was the population of Ukraine 2 years ago?
37 million.
What's the current population?
29 to 31 million.
So what's that math say? How many are no longer in the population?
About 6 million.
6 million. Are we to assume those are dead?
Well, you had a bunch that You had a bunch that fled, and you have a lot that have been killed.
Okay, so the reason I'm asking this is I just heard they are conscripting 65-year-old men now into service. Now, when the United States said, "Hey, we're gonna let fucking people, we're gonna bring people back for the rollback if we need to, up to 60 years of age," you're like, yeah, but they're not going to deploy them. They're going to be at the schoolhouse, or they're going to be at sniper school or whatever. Do you think that's what's happening there, or do you think they're putting them in the field?
They're putting them in the field. There's actually a really good video. There's actually a really good. It's older now, but it's a Ukrainian on the front line, and he's got a helmet cam. He's on the front line. He's a fucking. I mean, I hope he has made it through his days and is sipping a margarita somewhere in Florida right now. This guy was fucking fighting by himself for his fucking life in a fighting position where he is just picking. You can see the Russians, like it's close enough that you think, again, helmet cam. It's close enough where you can see these guys jumping over the trench and trying to pass his position, and this guy's just full auto going to guns on this dude is fighting for his life. And he keeps, like, he'll take an AK and he fucking dumps it, throws it on the ground, picks up another gun, dumps it, he's shooting it, dumps it, throws another ground, picks up an RPG-7, fires it. I'm like, this dude is fighting for his life. And I'm like, how many fucking guns how many guns does this fucking maniac have that he is just picking up guns and shooting? And he has an RPK, and he fires the belt out. Again, throws it down in the trench. When he throws it down in the trench,
just caddies.
You see this fucking arm come out of the hole, come out of the little bunker, and pulls the fucking gun in by the barrel. Had to burn the fuck out of his hands, but pulls it in and reloads it and steps out and hands it to him. This dude had to have been in his fucking 80s. Like he had to have been in his 80s, just handing this kid this gun, and kid going to town and him getting something else and reloading it. Like,
interesting.
Yeah, it was like, I was like, God damn, that poor bastard. I really hope those two.
Did you catch the footage? Did you catch the footage from Venezuela this week?
No, what happened?
So Venezuela is called up a $4 million person militia.
Yeah.
But it's all like old women and old men, and so they've got all these women, and they're handing them, I think it was AKs, right? They're giving them AKs, and the commentary was, this is interesting because they disarmed the entire population for fear of overthrow just in recent history, and here they are giving these guns back. But it's all girls, and they're very out of shape women, and one of them's running around a wall, and she falls over. And
I will bet 100. I will bet you 100. I'll bet $100 right now that all that was a photo op, and those guns came out of the crates. They did their little fucking whatever, and then those guns went right back in the crates.
Got it.
Yeah, that was like, for example, Ukraine. When the Russians were really, really pushing on Kiev, and there was a possibility that they were going to be able to, it was mostly when they were at the airport and were taking Humstal Airfield, I think it's, excuse my pronunciation. When they were close to Ukraine, the Ukrainians did something that they absolutely did not want to do, that they were scared to death to do, and in the end, it worked out for them. And that was crates of AKs, crates of RPKs. They just brought them out and started handing them to everybody. And they're like, "Here's your gun." And it was them arming those local groups that were able to go after the saboteurs that were there trying to fucking create hate and discontent, and slow the Russians enough to create some sort of organized, uniform military defense. And so, everybody's always afraid that as soon as you give guns to especially in places where you're not too sure about the allegiance. In Ukraine, it worked out. In Venezuela, I bet it wouldn't work out. They would immediately create there would be militia groups that would be like, "Hey, fuck this guy. Let's get as many AKs as we can, and we're going to fucking start creating hate and discontent." So I guarantee you that none of those women are at home. None of those women are at home right now cooking pinto bean soup or whatever they eat in Venezuela with an AK sitting next to the thing waiting for the Marines to come. It's not happening. It's not true.
So what do you think happens over the next week here? Are you still of the belief that Charlie Kirk was shot by the kid?
Yeah.
Do you think he had assistance? Do you think there's other person? I thought, because I keep seeing there's a
don't
second
think
shooter.
so.
I keep seeing there's a second shooter in custody.
Outside of like, was this an organized conspiracy? Was this an organized conspiracy to shoot Charlie Kirk? Outside of rhetoric on the interwebs, and him telling people that he was going to do it, no, he did it himself.
Okay, let's say there was an organized group to facilitate this or push this. Who would that have been?
Well, it would have been left organizations, whatever. The liberal left would have been the ones pushing this, and and the reality is it would have had to come down from very high up, and I don't want to say nobody's that dumb, but Charlie Kirk was not a real. He wasn't a real threat. He wasn't a real threat, and he also wasn't the thing that would change the tide of war in your favor. It's different if you shoot Donald Trump.
Did you see? So, do you know about the trial yesterday?
Yeah, that guy was convicted. Whatever.
Nobody even knew that dude was on trial.
Well, yeah, because we don't care.
So the jury deliberated for 10 minutes,
Yeah,
and then found him guilty. The daughter went nutso,
of course.
and he tried to kill himself with a pin in court yesterday. Tried to suicide himself.
Yeah. The problem with the it'll be interesting to see what they do when it comes to his actual sentencing. When it comes to sentencing, what they're actually gonna do. The problem with the guy like that is if you look at the problem with a guy like that, or actually, I don't know why you tried to kill yourself, buddy. If you take a look at what the Democratic Party does,
They're probably going to let you out.
in a couple years, they're probably going to pardon you. So when they take
So
power,
you're
they're
of the
probably gonna
belief that the Democrats are going to be in power again here
pardon-
shortly?
Eventually, it always, it always ebbs and tides. They may not be called the Democratic Party. They
you
may be
think-
called something else, like the Northern Party.
Do you think National Guard's going into Memphis?
I thought they were already there.
Is National Guard in Memphis? Can Trump do that legally?
I don't know if I don't know if Trump is actually doing that. I believe that it will be the governor that.
So you think he's just saying something
Yeah.
publicly
Oh, yeah.
and doing something on
Yeah.
his own?
They're not there yet.
There are some more. The reality is, like I talked about before, putting the National Guard in Memphis requires more hoops to jump through. Now, not that he can't do it, but more hoops to jump through than putting the National Guard in Washington, D.C.
So Chicago,
the
guy,
yeah,
the
153 people have been killed since the mayor said we don't have a crime problem.
So the mayor, right?
Yeah.
The mayor. We don't want Trump in Chicago. Do you not think? Is it not affecting him?
No, not at all.
So that's the deal. Do you think some outside entity is paying him? What interest does he have in letting his city burn down?
Those caucuses.
They call it Gotham City.
Yeah, those caucuses and those liberal organizations make millions and millions of dollars to fight crime in those places. What you're doing is you're interrupting the drug trade in that town. If Trump goes in to Chicago, it doesn't matter Trump. Fuck Trump. If America goes into Chicago and does the right thing for the people of Chicago and arrests the people that need to be arrested, the money dries up. If there's no crime, they're getting
Is it from civil asset forfeiture?
No.
How
It's
are
not that.
they getting money?
They're getting all these grants and financial money to whatever. Think about when he talks about his crime package or any of that. All that's money that is coming from the taxpayers or the federal government in order to solve a problem that they have no intention of solving, because then that money dries up. That's what they're doing.
But how does he steal the money without it being so blatant, right? How does he all of a sudden go from living in a townhome to a $4 million?
Because the only requirement is to say we're fighting crime. That's it. That's the only requirement. And if I'm giving that money to an NGO that then turns around and gives it to me as a political donation, That's all they're doing. They're just stealing the money. They know that if there's no crime, then there's a good chance they're not reelected. There's a good chance that they don't, because they don't have the money to give to everybody.
All right, last question.
Last question. April 1st.
Have you been practicing your snipering?
I have not been practicing my snipering. I don't think I need to practice my snipering.
Oh, you don't?
No, according to the national statistics, 200 yards is a long shot. So I guess I don't need to practice anymore.
What could you go if I gave you if somebody gave you a, I don't know, let's say Remington 700.
Okay.
Let's say it's a PSS. Okay.
I was actually going to do this just for
what if we went to Walmart and bought you a 30-06?
But just for your, for the viewers out there, I thought about doing this. I am sure that we could ascertain the distance from, like, when he's running across the roof. I am sure we could ascertain the distance
do it on Google Earth
from the camera to his location, right? And I was like, I'll just have Brandel videotape me at that distance with a rifle doing exactly the same thing he does. And then, because there's a lot of people out there that are like, if you take a rifle apart and screw it back together, there's no way it'll hit a target. Well, that ain't true.
It's just the stock, yeah.
That's not true. Okay, first off, that's not true. And so I was thinking, because I have a 270 hunting rifle that has just a bullshit Tasco hunting scope on it that I haven't shot in 30 years. And I was like, well,
are you gonna check it for zero first?
Let's bust it out, shoot it, take it apart, and then again see if I can hit a target at 200 yards. Well, come to find out, it wasn't 200 yards. It's between 143 and 138 yards.
Yeah, I heard 143.
So that makes it even. Like, the reality is, you could have shot that gun. You could have shot a 30-06 at a human being.
You could do it fucking offhand.
Upside down, and it would have still hit that motherfucker. It wouldn't. Like, people just don't understand. They don't understand how the real world works. And then, the other argument is people keep talking about, I shot a deer with a 30-06 and it goes in one side, one out the other.
4-inch exit hole.
Like, terminal ballistics is a science that most people are very weak at.
Really a science? I
yeah,
mean,
it's terminal ballistics they take it to a science level, right? So terminal ballistics is a science, and to say that you know exactly what a round is going to do on impact with anything, I don't care what it is. Again, it is just a guess.
If I jump
it's
off,
not the reality of the world.
I'm running down the pier.
Guys with 5.56s are shooting at me.
Uh-huh.
I jump in the lake.
You jump in the lake.
How far do I have to swim underwater?
Foot and a half of water, and the weapon will no longer be effective against you.
Even if I'm right here and you're shooting straight down at me.
Foot and a half of water, the weapon will no longer be effective against you.
I don't think I want to test that.
Well, you don't have to. You can. In reality, you can watch an episode of MythBusters. So it's a reality that the weapon systems, and water is one of those mediums that the weapon is not very good at.
Did you see the forward I sent you of the 4 vests that are for sale at the surplus place? These Israeli vests from like 2006.
Yeah. I want one.
Dude, they're only $180 per kit.
I told you, didn't I just tell you I'm going to fix income and I got to put a wheel back on my truck?
Do you think there's anything that's going to surprise us if we get those? Like, oh, we should, like that 40, dude, the 40 mic. I always like the Israeli shit because where we were using Cordura, they're using webbing that's like 6 inches wide. Like the Israeli canteen pouches, their canteens are rectangle, which was always neat. And the whole pouch is made out of 17327 webbing. Like, we just never could, it didn't exist, Yeah. And now I'm like, why the fuck were we making this shit so heavy? Like, why are our mag lids like 4 layers of Cordura?
The interesting thing about Israel design and production of things, whatever it is.
So my dad always said they always had survivability of crew member and
whatever it is the Israelis, they paid a high price. They paid a high price in their wars against the Arab nations. And Israel it's mostly a volunteer force, so it's mostly conscripts. And you can't
I thought conscript men were making you do this shit.
Yeah, well, again, I say volunteer, but everybody's conscripted to have to be in uniform, right? And so, as military age males, I don't know what the cutoff age in Israel is, but as I would assume I'm still in that group. You're taken from society. So Israel has, especially after the Arab, after the Arab wars in the 70s, Israel is very, they're very survivability, right? They don't want to put guys in harm's way that they don't have to. If they can do it with a 250-pound bomb, they'll do it with a 250-pound bomb. Where we want to send Delta in there and kick all the doors open and shoot everybody. They'll do it with a 250-pound bomb. They designed the Merkava for crew survivability.
Their tank.
Mm-hmm, that's
tank. That's the first, because they had the first tank with a trap door in it. And then
their equipment, weapons and equipment, again, they make it very dumb because again, and I'm not saying that people in Israel are dumb. I'm saying the gear, they make it very dumb proof because again, you're using a conscript military. You want to make sure that it's not overly complicated because I'm a dentist. Terrorist attack. I'm now on the front line. It needs to be like, oh, okay, I remember. This is where the thing goes. Yeah.
I know 2 dentists. They're kind of ninjas.
Yeah. So, but we'll give you an example.
Brian Freer and Sherman House.
I'll give you an example though.
Doctor.
Like
Sherman House.
The reality is, Delta 1985. So, and I know this is
motorcycles with rockets.
Yeah, but I mean, what's his name? Who just got in trouble for gun? Who's our gun? Larry Vickers. So Larry Vickers' Delta Force is definitely different than current Delta Force. Meaning, if they were like, Larry, we need you to save the world, there's still going to be this learning gap of things that Larry's going to do, and the Delta guys are going to be like, he doesn't know how to use the Seychelles. There's just going to be that learning gap, where in Israel you can't afford that. You don't have that time. I need to when I take that guy from wherever, the bagel shop, and put him in the tank, all the buttons and levers need to be like either push button here or exactly where they were when he went through training 20 years ago. So they tend to make gear that is a little more user friendly, not as complicated as some of the stuff we do. And it's usually the other thing too about their kit is it's usually like, here it all is right here. This is all you need. This is it. You got your mags here. You got your chow back here. Here's your. It's usually all just that one complete kit. So they make really good gear.
Do you think they have a lot of bagel shops in Israel?
I mean, they got to have one or two, but they don't. They don't call them bagels, do they? They call them something else.
Einstein Bagels, remember that?
Yeah, I remember Einstein Bagels.
So
yeah.
I was telling somebody about Einstein Bagels. I'm like, I haven't seen one since I moved to Tennessee. I haven't seen one in 30 years. And we were heading to Atlanta, and we stopped at a gas station.
And it had one in there?
There was an Einstein. Sure as shit, there was.
Shit. Nice.
So you think we'd get that gear and be like disappointed in it?
Oh, I don't think we'd be. I want to get one, but
which one would you want?
Hey, if you guys want to crowdsource,
well, hold on.
I'm going to crowdsource this.
Which one would you want?
I don't know. There was.
Okay, so
I only saw one.
There was a Grenadier one.
No, definitely not a Grenadier.
You might like. There was a medic one.
No.
There was a rifleman one.
Okay.
And there was a saw gunner one.
I don't have a saw.
If you want to crowdsource
us a saw, I would get the rifleman one.
Did you see what Joe Rogan said about the when the Charlie Kirk got shot, you immediately saw the old man go nuts, right? Pulled his pants down, and he's like, I shot him. I'm the shooter. Did you see they've arrested him? He's in custody, right? Did you see they hit him with child porn charges? Yeah. And Rogan's take on it is, of course they hit him with child porn charges. Now, nobody can ask him how he happened to be at 9/11 at the World Trade Center bombing. He happened to be at the Boston Marathon bombing. He had called in all these other bombs. He's been in all these events that have happened that are like world-changing events. Well, of course they hit him with child porn, so nobody can talk to him and be like, well, how did you do this?
But you don't... Okay. People people tend to create these enormous conspiracy theories in their heads about things that are so irrelevant that they don't understand how it works. You don't, let's just say everything you just said is 100% true. Like, let's say everything you said is 100% true. That means that the government was utilizing him in some fashion, right? Whatever. That is he would be the lowest form of an asset that the government would be using, meaning 100% expendable. He would have never made it to the police station. They would have immediately killed him. Or he would have went, "It's me," and it's me, and the police officer, the new hire at the Utah Police Department, or the brand new campus police officer would have went, boom. Oh, I thought he had a gun. I'm sorry. That those assets don't make it. Like, the reality is,
I don't think he's an asset. I would like to know.
But the only way that's possible is the only way it's possible for him to have really been part of all that is through some sort of government assistance, and those assets don't make it. You kill those assets.
They're like in Shooter.
Yeah, you just kill them. They're expendable. I mean, I do not want to say this. I didn't want to say this because I know guys will get mad about it, but the reality is, when you think about Delta Force, Navy SEALs, when they cut those guys loose and send them into Abbottabad or wherever to kill fucking so-and-so, the moment that helicopter leaves, they become an expendable asset. They're an expendable asset. If they go in there and the Pakistani military scrambles 2 F-15s, we shoot one down and the other one gets through and drops a 250-pound bomb, we'll have a memorial and shit. But the president and the Department of Defense weighs the expenditure of that asset. No different than a fucking Marine Lance Corporal. When a Marine Lance Corporal goes forward and standing at a fucking checkpoint, there's certain levels where it's been weighed that he is now expendable. That, we're willing to put him out there, and if a fucking dude in a Toyota pickup truck drives up and blows him up, that was an expendable asset.
Do you remember in Shooter, the old man, when they went and met with the old man, and he's like, "I buried him in the desert.
Yeah.
I still got
the shovels." Yeah.
Have you ever met a man like that?
No.
Are you sure?
No, I've never met a man like that was real.
Did you ever meet a man like that portrayed to be that?
I've met several people who've portrayed to be at that level and then come to find out they weren't real.
How did you find out they were not?
Because the longer
the story's just fucking, they tell the story wrong.
Yeah, not that the story is told wrong, but the longer you continue with the lie, eventually there's somebody that's going to be like, the dude was only fucking 15 years old when that happened. Right? Eventually there's going to be this thing where you're like, oh, okay, so he was full of shit.
Do you remember the old German dude?
I do remember the old German dude, yeah.
What do you think he was?
I think he was the reality is, I think he was a German who was in the German army in World War II and moved to America and started working on guns.
That's it? That's all you think that was?
Yeah, he couldn't have been anything else. I mean, he probably had a super interesting story, but again,
he's dead now.
Yeah, I'm sure he had a super interesting story, but there were way too many people interested in finding, like, real Nazis.
You don't think he was a real Nazi?
No, not at the level that was interesting. You had fucking...
Yeah, I mean, he wasn't Operation Paperclip.
Look up...
Living in San Diego.
Look up World War II, the German army. How many men were in uniform? If they will even tell you that. Like, again, you had 54. You think about the Marine Corps. The Marine Corps operates... we got the West Coast and East Coast. We got 2 divisions, really, and a reserve division. But we got 2 divisions. And we think there's a lot of Marines. The worst, the guys that everybody hates, the Waffen SS. The Waffen SS had 54 divisions. Like the amount of men that were in uniform.
A lot of them were not even Germans.
The amount of men that they had in uniform.
At the peak of it. Was 5.5 million.
Yeah, 5.5 million. So you had again, were there lightning bolt? Were there guys with lightning bolts and death head crosses on their fucking uniform that did nothing but cook? Of course there was. Of course there was dudes. There was dudes in the motor pool going,
what do you think our modern day...
These fucking assholes. These assholes keep getting these tanks all shot up and I got to fix it.
What do you think the modern day equivalent of those men is?
What do you mean?
Like today. Like I guess we don't really have a modern day equivalent because we're not at war like that.
Yeah, no, we're not. I mean, we don't have a modern day equivalent. I don't think we have a modern day equivalent to it. We're not I don't think you could. I don't know. It's just interesting. There was a lot of things that people don't want to admit to that had to happen in history in order for.
You don't think any of those are happening in that direction
for the Germans? Not. No, I don't. Because again, even if you look at these idiots, even if you look at these idiots on the extreme left, right? You look at them. We'll put all the idiots together and Antifa. They're just a flea.
What do you think about?
They're just a little thing scratching at your ankle. They're not to the level, or I do not believe that they could ever get to the level where we're talking about the Aryan nation again. It's just not. They're not that level.
What do you think about Trump declaring Antifa terrorist?
They should have done it a long time ago. And then
going after him with RICO.
I mean, I don't. Whatever.
Did you see him?
Whatever the full. Like the reality is, if you're outside of the federal building and you are throwing rocks or doing whatever it is that those retards are doing in Seattle, they should have been arrested anyways. Arrest them all.
Did you see him saying we need to go and look at, investigate further in and bring in George Soros and Klaus Schwab for question? As funding these organizations?
If they can connect the dots, then do it.
Did you see him at the UN meeting yesterday?
Yeah, I saw, yeah.
Turned off the prompter, turned off the elevator.
Have you seen the...
You guys do nothing, you write some tersely worded letters.
Did you see Melania?
Melania?
Did you see the picture of her?
I didn't.
There's a great meme where it was taken from the stage and it's her sitting out in the gallery, right? And she has this huge smile on her face. Like she has this huge smile on her face, and the meme is like Melania understands that because they turned the teleprompter off, Trump is going to talk for an extra 55 minutes that they weren't ready for, right? Yeah. So again,
it's a good thing the first lady's in good shape.
Yeah, because they turned the escalator off too.
Yeah, they fucking did about 2 seconds onto it.
You know what I'd have done? Like a president, he's the president of the United States. You know what I'd done? I'd have been like, all right, let's repo the building. Fucking police tape around that bitch.
Because it's in New York.
Yeah. Police tape around that bitch. You guys can meet in fucking Zimbabwe. I don't care.
Have you seen the UN building in Brussels, Spain? So there's a super famous artist who did a bunch of like Jeffrey Dahmer shit and Epstein paintings, and I think he's the same dude that like did the painting of Bush with the Twin Tower blocks and him flying, like that
I think I've seen
shit.
that. I think I've seen that.
There's a picture of a girl and she's disemboweled and she's hanging from her feet, and that is the painting on the side of that building.
Yeah, I think I've seen that. I've seen that.
He painted some of the shit that's in the Denver airport.
Yeah.
All right, let's end this.
Okay, let's end this.
We're gonna go eat lunch. We'll come back and we'll do members Q&A.
From the bottom, they tore it down, I rebuilt it. I give myself a task, you can bet your ass I fulfill it. Yeah, man, I'm talking about Willis, one of the realest.